Hey, this is Cavallo from datingadviceguru.com. Today we're going to talk about 7 reasons why men don't want to get married anymore. So why don't guys want to get married anymore? Well, the willingness of a man to get married tells you just how much he's willing to commit to you, and that's why so many women are concerned with a man's reluctance to get married. So why is he holding back on this final step of commitment? Well, American adults who've never been married is at a historic high. Men are more likely than women to have never gotten married. That's 23% of men versus 17% of women. And according to the Pew Research Center, I hang out there on the weekends, the share of women ages 18 to 34 that say that having a successful marriage is actually an important part of their lives rose 9%. That's 9 points since 1997 from 28%. The fact that's really disturbing is that for men, it was exactly the opposite. The share of guys saying that it was important for them dropped 35% to 29%. So with statistics like that, I thought it was high time that we looked into the reason that men are opting out of marriage in record numbers. The problem isn't that men are immature or lazy. I know it's tempting, you want to blame it there, but men today simply respond to the incentives given to them. And I'm going to expose those for you right here and right now. Now, some of these are going to be a little hard for you to hear, but if you're armed with my strategies for reaching a man's heart, you don't have to worry. You simply have to show him that you're not like the other girls out there. And hopefully that's true. I'll tell you what he needs to see from you in just a minute. So let's jump right into the 7 reasons. With reason number 1 why he won't propose: he will look like a buffoon. It used to be if you were a married man, you were the man. You know, you were the strong, capable guy, and you had a woman that was completely dedicated to you. You did the right thing if you married her, and that made you a gentleman. Thanks to television, movies, and our culture, a man who becomes a husband today also becomes looked down upon. He's pitied, not admired. He's whipped, not masculine. And if I hear one more guy tell me in that pathetic tone of voice that he has to check in with the boss, well, I'm going to scream. These guys are always hoping that I'm going to chuckle or go along with the joke, and I usually just shake my head at them. Ever since the 1970s, and probably going back further, men have not been portrayed as respectable on television or in the media. In fact, it's rare that you see a guy who isn't one of 2 stereotypes. The first one is the bumbling idiot. It's all he can do to not mess things up, right? His long-suffering wife usually just puts up with him just long enough to find another reason to put him down, and hilarity ensues. And then you've got the killer. This guy is the violent, stone-cold assassin of the R-rated movie variety. He lives to kill. Oh, and no woman can resist him. Men today look foolish confessing to being a married man. It used to be a respectable title, one of being a provider and a breadwinner, and now that women can do everything a man can, and better, at least from what some people say, he doesn't really have a place as a reliable cornerstone of a family. Now, by sheer volume, 69% of mass media reporting and the commentary on men was of unfavorable slant. Now, compare that with just 12% favorable and 19% neutral, and you can kind of see why a guy doesn't look on marriage all that much. How does that sound to you? Not so good for us. Now, I don't want to sound like some old-fashioned chump here, but the reality is that as gender roles have shifted around in confusing spirals mostly, we've lost touch with the value of the solid, reliable man. While he doesn't want marriage, reason number 2, he'll get less sex. And the statistics say that this is absolutely true. Not only will he lose the variety of sexual partners he had in his single life, the frequency drops incredibly. And even though men usually reach a point where frequency beats out variety, he still needs the horizontal bop quite a bit. Married men do have more sex than single men on average, but they have much less than men who are just living with their partners outside of marriage, especially as the years go on. In fact, the statistics for people who live together as opposed to getting married are almost all much more positive. The reasons are pretty evident. When we get married, we either tend to take the relationship for granted or we just check out of our role. So you have to be sure to communicate and resolve yourself to keep yourself sexy for each other. This is one little bit of advice I took to heart when I heard it years ago, and I keep saying it today. Stay sexy. The more things in your relationship that you take for granted, especially the sex, the more likely you're going to have marital problems down the road. Why he won't settle down, reason number 3, he will lose his freedom. This is another one of those beliefs that often comes true. Men, we feel like we are going to lose control of our lives to the demands of marriage and family. And it's not only the loss of his freedom of lifestyle, there's a chance he could actually lose his actual freedom. If a man is charged with child support that he can't pay, he can be put in jail. And if he can't afford a lawyer, I know you're thinking a court will appoint one for you. Well, guess what? He doesn't have the right to have one. He doesn't get one appointed because according to the Supreme Court, it's a civil dispute. If that's not bad enough, men are jailed 95 to 98% of the time in these situations. This is not a situation that any man desires. Why men don't want marriage. Reason number 4, the dating scene is downright hostile. Everywhere you look on Facebook, you see women complaining about their men nonstop. Everything is the patriarchy. Men are bad, men are violent, men are negative. Think about the process of dating today. Does it seem easy to you? Most people agree that dating is confusing and frustrating. Anything but easy. Okay, what about relationships? The next step. Well, if you're lucky enough to get a relationship started, most couples don't have the communication and negotiation skills, much less the emotional intelligence to know how to keep it together. Most of them just hope to wing it and hope for the best. And then we haven't even gotten to marriage, which is probably the most extreme and demanding form of a relationship, usually involving children, money, an incredible amount of patience and planning. It feels like the odds are stacked against men, and the good men would rather check out and stay silent than participate in something that he feels victimized by. Why he won't get hitched, reason number 5, he doesn't really have to anymore. And this is a big one. The reality is that women are much more relaxed about sex than ever before. There used to be a time when a man had to marry a girl or wear down her resistance to get her into bed. And if you wanted a family, well, the choice was clear. You had to get hitched. Now, today, both sexes are swiping each other into bed off their cell phones. When you don't hold anything back and you give him pretty much everything he would get in a marriage, he doesn't have any incentive to marry you. Most women don't know how to show a man the promise of marriage and what it can do for him. And this is something, by the way, I show you how to do in my complete commitment program. Now, I'm not saying that you have to hold back on the sex. What I'm saying is you got to be able to hold back on some of the benefits of that fully committed relationship. If you give it all to him up front, he's got nothing to earn later on. He doesn't want to marry you. Reason number 6, he could lose everything. Let's face it, divorces don't treat men that well in the United States. There's a fact here. Women initiate the majority of all divorces, between 65 and 90%, depending on the demographics. And when a woman leaves her man, she doesn't just walk away. Statistics say that the woman will get the majority of custody and, of course, the money from the husband. No one can deny that the court system is stacked heavily in favor of women in these cases. Now, in the past, mom got custody of the kids because she was home with them, doing all that thankless and unpaid work, right? You get that image of her ironing and washing dishes and all that. And she was associated with being the homemaker. But today, neither parent is home. So there's really no reason the default custodial parent should have to be the mom. A man won't risk losing all of his money, the family, the house, and most of all he owns without a pretty darn good reason. Not interested in getting married? Reason number 7, he doesn't think you're the one. A man will have no problem plunking down cash for a car he wants, or a boat, or a flat screen TV, or whatever that thing is, that gadget, right? What all these gadgets have in common for him is that he knows in that moment that they are the one thing he wants. He believes that the car, the TV, the gadget will make him happier and improve his quality of life. And he also believes that they will not cause him problems that are out of proportion to their benefit. Guess what? The same thing is true of your relationship. He will gladly get down on one knee to propose to you if he thinks you're the same way. He wants to know that you're going to continue to make him happy and that you won't change from the woman that he loves right now. Now, the solution should be obvious by now. You have to make him understand that this will not happen in your relationship. He won't lose the sex. He won't be divorced and lose his family, and he won't lose his freedom. You see, men aren't being commitment phobes. They're not wimping out. They're being careful. Which means the smart and savvy girl these days has to know how to get him to see her as a prize to be won instead of a commodity that is easily replaced. You want to know why I got married? It wasn't for the sex. I have no problems getting that without a contract. It wasn't for the family. We had and we have a strong family unit, and it wasn't to make things official. It was because getting married to her was the most honest expression of love to reward her for the care, the effort, and the selfless work she put into being a fantastic partner. And I knew that more great things were on the other side of that divide of getting married. She never once begged, cajoled, or pressured me. So I decided it was time. In short, She knew the secrets of devotion and commitment and how to make me commit without having to trick me or nag me into it. You want to know how she did it? I got a little place for you to go. A great presentation is over at datingadviceguru.com/commitment. That's datingadviceguru.com/commitment, where I'll show you exactly how she pulled that off. So what do you think? Do you want to get married, or is it an antiquated formality? Should marriage be allowed to die out? Put your comments below. Let me know what you think. Of course, subscribe to the video so you can get these every single week, and like this video. This is Cavallo from datingadviceguru.com. As always, live and love with passion.